This is Russell Hawley, the education specialist at the Tate Geological Museum, and today I'm going to tell you the story of Lee Rex. Now, over in eastern Wyoming, there are outcrops of a layer of rock called the Lance Formation. That's the last of the dinosaur-bearing formations in Wyoming. So in those rocks, you find the dinosaurs that lived right at the very end of the age of reptiles. Most of them are plant eaters. In any dinosaur-bearing formation, the plant eaters outnumber the meat eaters by about 30 to 1, and the Lance is no exception. Most of what we find is ceratopsians and especially hadrosaurs, duckbill dinosaurs. In fact, they're so abundant that some paleontologists call them the cockroaches of the Cretaceous. When we find a dinosaur bone in the Lance and we can't identify it right away, we pretty much assume that it's a hadrosaur bone until we've got good reason to think otherwise. Our prep lab and field operations manager, J.P. Cavacelli, was leading an expedition out to Lee and Vicky's ranch, digging up dinosaur bones, wandered away from the group and found a caudal vertebra, one of the bones of the tail, coming out of the ground. He marked down its location and position in his field notes, as we always do, and he wrote, caudal vertebra, probably hadrosaur, because, once again, we assume hadrosaur until proven otherwise. But he walked by it a couple more times during the course of the next several months, and every time he looked at that thing, it looked less like a hadrosaur vertebra. Now, a vertebra consists of several different parts. There's a middle part called the centrum, a superstructure on top called the neural arch, and then these prongy bits coming down underneath are called chevrons. Now, on a hadrosaur, the centrum is cylindrical. It's shaped more or less like a tuna can. But on Tyrannosaurus rex, the centrum is pinched in the middle to make a shape like an hourglass or a spool. And JP couldn't help but notice that this vertebra was pinched in the middle to make a spool shape or an hourglass shape. So he went to Lee and Vicky and he told them that he was suspecting that they might have a Tyrannosaurus rex on their property. And they said, well, go get it, go dig it up. And so he started digging up the vertebra and found that it was attached to another vertebra, which was attached to another vertebra, and another, and another, and another, and another, all lined up in articulation. That got us very excited, because when you find that, that often means that you'll find a dinosaur skeleton at the end of that string of tail bones. Then we started finding chevrons, which, as you'll recall, are the prongy bits underneath the tail. On a hadrosaur, the chevrons taper to a blunt point, like a breadstick, but on Tyrannosaurus rex, they expand at the tip into a broad flat shape, like a ping pong paddle. And JP couldn't help but notice that these chevrons expand at the tip into a broad flat shape like a teapot, a ping pong paddle. And so he went back to Lee and Vicky and said, let me revise my earlier estimate. I'm now 100% sure there's a Tyrannosaurus rex on your property. And we're so grateful that the landowner has let us dig on his land for all these years, we named the Tyrannosaurus after him, and that's how it came to be known as Lee Rex.